Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Learning Live. Here we are from Sheri's craft room, and we are ready to make something super fun tonight. Hope you are all excited. We did put a poll in our Papercrafts Inner Circle group. Maybe Sunday, maybe yesterday. I can't remember. All the days are blurring together. But we did ask you, which die from my brand new collection did you want me to create with? And let me tell you, it was neck and neck for a little while. There was a distinct winner, but there was a pretty close second place. So, in all fairness, I am going to try to create with both tonight. We'll flip over to the desktop camera in just a minute, but just welcome to Learning Live. We're going to just sit back, take some notes, at least in your brain. Enjoy what I am crafting with tonight. I am particularly inspired by what a beautiful and sunny day here it was in our neck of the woods. The sun was shining, didn't need a coat. It was beautiful out. So I wanted to play with some really bright and fun colors. I got the thumbs up that all is good from our sound and technology expert in the other room. Hello, Donna. Hello, Shelley. Hello, Debbie. Hello, everyone who is tuning in. Hello, Joan. So we've got a fun night for you tonight. And if it were up to me, I would just be crafting with these items all day long. But I got other things to do as well. So I have to put these away every little once in a while. Anyways, let me flip over to the desktop and fill you in on exactly what I've been talking about, because maybe you missed the post. Maybe you don't have any idea what I am going to be crafting with tonight. Just off the top, I will let you know my throat is a little tiny bit scratchy, so I may be stopping for water breaks a little bit more often than usual, but we're going to have lots and lots of fun. All right, let's flip over and let's take a look. So, in case you missed it, I have a fabulous new collection with Spellbinders. It is called We All Have Baggage, and it was really designed to address the idea that we do all have emotional baggage that we carry each and every day. Some days there's only a few things in our suitcase. Sometimes there's a whole lot of things in our suitcase. But with our crafty friends, we can make the load lighter. So in my collection, there is the retro suitcase. There is the crafty or the rolling craft tote. There is also the designer purse and the awareness ribbon. Oh, Shelly says hers arrived today, so she gets to play along. That is awesome. Excuse me, you're going to have lots of fun with it, but hopefully tonight, if you take nothing away, you learn how to assemble these and put them together. But I'm going to do a couple of other little things with these guys as well. And then I will turn the tables over to all of you. I am so excited to see what everybody else makes with this. I've been crafting with these guys for, close to a year now since I got those first prototypes. And I'm eager. I'm so excited to see what everyone else creates with them as well. Anyways, I'm going to zoom in just a tiny bit and let's talk a little bit about what we've got here. So we do have the retro suitcase and sentiments. This is a stamp and die set. The die is actually pretty compact. And I had asked for a few other things to be added here, and we'll talk about that as we are creating. But they said, nope, there's no room. But luckily that means we had room for this stamp set. And all of these great little icons here are designed to be the stickers that go on your suitcase to show you all the different ways that you can lighten your load, all the different places you can go, tranquility, peace, happiness, all of that good stuff. And we will play with these sentiments as well. So this was by far and away in our poll, this was the winner. People wanted to see more ideas with the retro suitcase, but close second was our rolling craft tote that has the extended handle or the shortened handle, jaunty angle or standing straight, totally up to you. I wanted to bring this into tonight as well. Now, I'm not going to do them both on the same card. They are a nice, generous size for card making, so I think we'd struggle a little bit to put them on the same card, but I'm going to do the same kind of technique twice, and then that way we can create 2 cards if all goes according to plan. So time is already ticking. Let's get crafting. I'm actually going to tuck these away for a little bit because I want to create a background with some watercolor. I'm going to be using some of my 49 in marketing. Let me zoom back out again. Just to bring it, got some of my 49 and market inks here. I love to watercolor with these guys. And it's going to be hopefully a quick and cheerful watercoloring technique. The image that I have in my head definitely makes it simple. Let's see if it actually translates onto the paper. And the how I chose my colors, let me grab. So I've been playing a little bit with this craft room collection from Echo Park, and the colors today just really spoke to me. They're nice and bright and sunshiny, and is exactly what the weather outside is making me feel. So I wanted to play with that tonight. So I just pulled, some of the colors that I thought would go well with this. They may not be perfect matches, but that's okay. They don't have to be perfect. That watercolor technique is going to give them a softness, but I want to keep the vibrancy of the color as well. So let me put this away. These are 2 of the papers that I think I'm going to play with. And I've got some little scraps as well. So who knows? And that's the nice thing about these dies is for the most part, they are a great way to bust out your scrap bin and play with them because there's some little parts. There's some not so little parts, but there are not really big, ginormous parts. So it allows you to really dig into your scrap stash and do some really fun die cutting. All right, but first watercolor. So here in my little pile, I have 2 side fold card bases that we're actually going to turn a landscape. So the fold goes at the top. Those can actually just go off to the side for right now. And I have 2 pieces of Vicky Boutin mixed media paper. I believe we still have some of her pads in the store. You could also use watercolor paper. You could also use distress heavy stock. The technique I'm going to be doing is going to use a little bit of water. So you want something that will really soak up that water. And that's why we're doing it first, so that we can kind of create our little background and then set it aside to dry while we do our assembly. Our assembly of the die cuts, and then we'll put the card together at the end. I've got 6 colors here. I may not use all of the colors. We're just gonna play. We're gonna have to see. I've got a little jar with water, and I've got a flat paintbrush, but I really don't think it's gonna matter whether you have a flat brush or a round brush. I've got some paper towel. Don't need my earphones. And then I've got a number of foam blending tools here, simply because these are large pads. So the technique I'm going to do, I need to keep it kind of in a concentrated area. You could do this technique as well with distress inks and with oxides too. The distress inks is going to give you a little bit more brightness. And if you're using the cubes, then you could probably just drag. But because these pads are quite big, well, not quite big. They're standard size, but they're big for what this technique is going to be. That's why I've got the blending foam. So I'm going to stop talking. We're going to start doing. I'm going to start with yellow. And I've just got my foam blender. This is pineapple. And I'm just going to, from the top, just kind of do almost a squiggle. Look at how nice that color is laying down. And you know what? It may turn out that I don't even end up applying the ink. We'll have to see how this turns out. So that is the yellow. Let's go ahead and do it on the other side as well. Just a nice little squiggle, and I'm coming about 2/3 of the way down. So that was pineapple. Maybe next I will do just peachy. Do I have an orange? I do have an orange. So this is a bigger blending foam, but it's still smaller than the big ink pad. So some of the lighter colors may need a little extra oomph to them. I do want to get some good color. That magnet's kind of getting in my way, but all right. Yeah, see, I'm not going to get 6 colors across here, but so maybe this one now I'm going to, instead of doing the peachy on this one, just to change it a little bit up a little bit, let's do Pink Lady. Go with this one. So just creating some blocks of color. That worked. That worked. Yes, you know, Shelley is saying that it's a pretty yellow. Pineapple is one of my favorite fruits, but it is also definitely one of my favorite colors. And when I started picking, let me bring out the piece. So I was really trying to match to this, and that yellow, I had actually picked a paler color, but for this technique, the water in the watercolor technique is going to water it down. So I was trying to dig a little bit deeper into some of the deeper colors and know that they will soften up with the water. So that's why I went with that darker yellow. Okay, let's do Tranquil Waters next. Give it some good color, some good coverage. There we go. And yeah, let's do it over here too. You know what, at the end of the day, this is just a little bit of ink and a little bit of paper. So if the technique doesn't work out, we do have that beautiful pattern paper that we could lean into. But I think this is going to be fun. All right, no, I haven't done Doll Face yet. I need Key Lime and Doll Face. So over here, because I have the pink over here, I'm going to use Doll Face on this side. And I think I'm okay to use the same blending foam. They were both shades of pink. Ooh, that's nice and bright. Nice and bright. Almost has that purpley tone to it, that orchid tone. And then over here, I'm going to do Key Lime. Just applying color in a little free-form manner. So we've got 2 different versions here using those 6 different colors. And you know what? If this alone is speaking to you, you could stop right there. But to me, it's a little bit harsh. Again, I've got the picture up here in my brain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paintbrush with a little bit of water. And this is definitely a less is more kind of scenario. So I've really dabbed off. Let's do this one first. And I'm just going to add that little bit of water to soften out those lines. So see how that's really softening out, and it does look a lot more like watercolor now. And this is where you want to have that watercolor paper. I did try this on some scrap paper before we went live, and the regular paper really pilled and didn't take the water very well. So you do want a mixed media type of paper, whether it's watercolor paper or Vicky's or that distress. And I'm just going to soften out that peachy one. Now let's soften, oops, too much water. Soften out the blue. And it's okay if you kind of zigzag over top of each other. And let's do that pink. And that pink and the blue is probably going to turn and make some purples. So maybe putting the orange and the blue together might not have been a good idea, because that might turn it to brown. So we'll be gentle with it over here, overlapping that. But look at how that just softens out without it being too drippy, without it being too abstract and too messy. I'm going to just soften that line. Okay, so there's number one. I'm going to just set that aside to dry while we do the rest, and then let's come over here to the other one. And I'm thinking I like this color combination a little bit better. But again, I'm just going to kind of zigzag over it. When things start to get a little bit too colorful, clean your brush off. Overlap it. And then let's go over into the blue, into the green. And I mean, you guys know that mess and watercolor smooshing and stuff like that isn't always, you know, in my wheelhouse, in my forte. But I think this is going to create a really pretty background that we are going to then use for our card. And just create, you know, some color, add some extra color to that. All right, so those are the two backgrounds that we're going to do. See if I can dab off just a little bit of the water, but I'm going to let it mostly dry on its own. I do have my heat gun ready in case when we get done assembling stuff, this is still wet. And I see that I've, you know, got a little overzealous. I've got some yellow fingerprints and stuff down here. I must have yellow on my hands, but it just makes it look all the more artsy. Okay, so those are off to the side. I'm done with my water, and let's do some die cutting now. Let's do some die cutting. So we're going to start with the retro suitcase. And I am fortunate enough that I have two sets. So that'll speed up the die cutting just a little bit. In your die set, you only have one of each piece. So that may slow you down a little bit. But that's one of the things that, you know, you can get your Scout out, get a smaller die cutting machine out, and sit in front of the TV and just, you know, pre-die cut some of these pieces. This is one of those ones that I really hope you will be making over and over and over again. So having a stash of pieces, much like reinforcements, much like some of those pieces that you would use multiple times, have those ready in lots of different colors so that you can just pick and play as we go along. So let me bring out... I'm going to bring out this sample right here because this is a really nice and easy way to see all the different pieces and parts that go with the retro suitcase. There is a base, there is a frame, there are these 4 little brackets which are made up of 2 parts, and that's the part that I really do recommend that you might want to cut lots of and have a stash. So you've got a bracket that has some holes and a solid bracket that assemble together to make that contrasting corner. Let me right there. Then there is your strap, your buckles, and your handle. We're going to go ahead and just do some hopefully quick die cutting. And like I said, I've pulled out trying to find all my pieces. All kinds of scraps from my scrap bin. With colors from that pattern paper. Oh, here's some more. Here we go. So we've got some really pretty papers that we can use to create our suitcase. I'm going to do the main suitcase piece out of this color. This is Orchid from Spellbinders. And do I have enough? Nope, I do not. Do not have enough of that one. Okay, I'm actually gonna change it. I'm gonna do the yellow. Yep, the yellow as my main suitcase. So you can definitely use pattern paper for the main part of your suitcase. And I'm going to do the orchid as the frame. So as I load it up, I'm gonna put this in. If you're brave. Oh, I don't even have any yellow tape. I think all my yellow tape went to the store for our craft around last weekend. But I've got some other tape here in my stash. Having little pieces of tape to just kind of hold everything in place is definitely helpful. Especially if you're going to be like me tonight, trying to do more than one thing at once. No, that's not all going to fit. What else can we do? That's for our base. Let's use this light color here for our straps. Color combinations are probably the hardest part. Just trying to figure out what colors you want to use. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. So my apologies if the camera shakes with all this die cutting tonight. All of these dies were designed to fit through the Scout machine so that anyone and everyone, even if you only have the smallest of machines, can use these sets. But I'm using the bigger one just so that I can get as many pieces cut at the same time as possible. Those inks out of the way. So there's our base. There's our straps, and again, this is one where I'm making use of two sets just to have them together. But look at that detail. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Look at all those stitches. Look at those holes. The Spellbinders team sure knows how to make some beautiful dies. All right, so that's coming over here. Now I need my frame, which is on this orchid color. And just to make space, I'm going to cut my paper close. There's that piece of tape. Oh, and I need the insert. So who's ready for spring? Who's ready for some warmer weather and those tulips? So that's going to make our frame. Let's grab. So I'm going to grab this piece here that I have in my scrap bin that has a little bit of Spellbinders liner sheet on the back. Liner sheet is an 8.5 by 11 piece that of double-sided adhesive. So it's a whole sheet of double-sided adhesive. I put little bits on the back of my cardstock so that when I'm die cutting delicate things, like the buckles, for example, it turns it into a sticker so that you don't have to spend a lot of time gluing, especially when they're delicate. It's not always easy. Straps are in that color. Let's take this lighter color here. I'm going to do some solid brackets. Two at a time. And out of this darker paper, let's do the holy brackets, as I call them. Please do jot in the comments if you have any questions. Or let us know if maybe you are, crafting along with me. All right, so I got lots of little bits lined up here on the die cutting machine. Grab my plate. Let's zip this through. Bear with me, something shifted as I moved. Usually I build it on the platform so I don't have to worry about the shift too much. All right, so here are those buckles. So when I take this off, if I'm lucky though, no. So this one is inside the buckle, so I'll keep that safe. But it has adhesive on it already, so when we go to glue it down, we don't have to add glue. I need to do another one of those. All right. So by putting those two pieces together, this is how I've got my frame that will now go on the outside of my suitcase. This will all make sense in just a few minutes when we go to assemble this all together. All right, I'm going to keep that because I think I will do my handle out of that as well. I need 2 more solid brackets. Here are those 2. Here are our riveted brackets, and I need 2 more of those. And you will find that as you create with this set, you will find your rhythm. You will find okay, I need 4 of those, I need 2 of those, I need 1 of these. And it does become a lot easier the more often you play with it. And that is definitely one of the benefits of crafting. Sorry, lost my words there for a second. Is that all these repetitive steps, these repetitive motions, is really what helps us de-stress. It helps us to focus on something other than that luggage we may be carrying. It helps us focus on the here and now and be in the moment. And it's what they call creating a flow state, that you're doing repetitive actions. It's also good for your cognitive health in terms of you are focusing, you are concentrating without it being too taxing, and it helps you keep your brain nice and strong. It's like doing a crossword puzzle or doing Wordle or those things. It might only be for a short period of time, but it's keeping the noggin engaged and keeping things sharp. So definitely crafting, as much as we joke that it is therapeutic, there is a lot of science behind it as well. All right, I think I've got all the main pieces now. So let's tuck that away and we'll go through what we've got. So this little piece here is the grip for our handle, and I did it in the same color as these straps so that we've just got some continuity. I'm going to get these bits out of the way. This piece here with the little balls on the top, that is the base of your handle. If you're doing something dimensional, if you're doing something dimensional like this, so I use this suitcase to make a gift card holder. But because this handle is sticking out from the top, if you were making something like this, those little handles can be a little bit delicate. So I would definitely recommend cutting at least 2 of that ball piece so that you can layer them and give it some extra rigidity, extra strength. All right. Make sure I get my sets organized. I still do have 1 more set of videos to record for Spellbinders, so I got to keep all my pieces organized. All right. And my tweezers really are my best friends. I feel like I've got chubby little fingers, and so I like to have a pair of tweezers available just to help control and help me get in those tight areas with some precision. All right, I think that's it. Let's do some gluing. So I'm going to walk you through how I do it, and I've done a number of these, but when we've been doing this suitcase in Make and Takes, some people have different ideas, different order of how you do things. So by all means, as you're assembling, you do you. But I'm going to start by attaching my frame to the, let's come in a little closer so we can see, the frame to the outside of this base piece. And yes, I'm overlapping those stitch marks, but I just kind of consider them a guide. This frame is another piece you could, if you wanted to, put liner sheet behind. But I always find that when there's such a big piece in the center, I don't really want to waste my liner sheet. I'm pretty frugal with my liner sheet. And it's a big enough area that you can get the glue on nice and easy. So that's that. Now I'm going to do my 4 corner pieces. And from here on out, I kind of work from the outside in to the center of the piece. So let me get my 4 riveted brackets, poke out those little holes. 1, 2. Do another one. 1, 2. And one more. All those little dots will go in the trash. And then I've got my 4 pink solid elbows or brackets. And whenever I've done this, I have always tried to have a contrasting color between the top piece and the bottom piece, just so that you can see it really easily through. But there's no reason why you couldn't do the same color, and there's really no reason why you couldn't put this right on the corner. I just like having something solid underneath it and behind it. Don't need a lot of glue, just a little bit. I pop it on here, and then this is where I will pick it up and use my fingers to just kind of wiggle everything into place. And once I've got one, I can then go ahead, glue this one, and put it on the corner. Like so. Rinse and repeat. And so these little brackets are definitely things you would, could have a nice little stash of. Mix and match your colors. And this is where it gets quiet, because my brain is engaged and my flow state is being created. And I'm just step by step losing myself in the crafting. Lynn says this is speaking to her. I'm glad the colors are speaking, that the meditative state is speaking to you. And again, just wiggle it into place there. Okay, so our 4 corners are on. Our little suitcase is starting to come to life here. And then, like I said, I work from the outside in. So now that I've got the corners in place, this is where I go and put my straps on. And I really use the stitching along that top edge to help me with my alignment. Now, if you've got striped or paper that has some vertical patterning to it, it's really easy to get your straps straight. But I usually go in like 2 little stitch marks from that outside elbow and 2 stitch marks from the outside elbow over here. Your stitch marks are not the same top and bottom, so don't try to match them. And if your straps end up being a little bit crooked, all you have to say is, well, it's been on a journey and it got a little jostled in the baggage handling. That's all you need to say. So I like to give it a little squeeze at the top, a little squeeze at the bottom to get that into place. And repeat for the second one. And again, 2 little stitch marks from the side. And then let's go ahead and put our buckles on. So I always put, there's a little prong on your buckle. I tend to always put that at the top, and you can just line it up with that middle hole. And because it's a sticker, I don't even need to glue it. It just sticks right down. Inez says she struggles more with using tweezers. Well, we all have different things that work for you. And if you've got great fingers that you don't need tweezers, then that's awesome. For me, I would be lost without my tweezers. Some people prefer a pokey tool. Some people prefer one of those wax tips pokey tools. Lots of tools that we can use. All right, so those can just now go in the trash. I've still got a little bit of liner sheet that I can use for another project. Always keep that liner sheet. All right, the last thing we have to work on is our handle that goes in the center, and we've got 3 pieces left. So we have this little piece here with the balls. Let me see if I can find something dark. Whoa. I don't have anything dark at my disposal, but maybe, nope, that's the same color. Anyways, let me bring it up closer then. Here we go. So we've got our 2 little balls on the top, and this is what I was affectionately calling the sausage the other night at our make and take in the store. Your sausage is going to attach to the little balls here on your handle base. So I've just put glue on those balls, and I'm going to attach the little curved piece to the top there. So you've got one nice cohesive piece, and your little handle grip just goes on top. And then this needs to attach to our suitcase. So your glue is going to go on this horizontal piece, and your suitcase is going to lay over top of it. I tend to lift up and do it this way, but we've got glue on that horizontal piece, and it's going to tuck under. Liquid glue gives you time to wiggle. And this is the main reason why I went from the outside in. My straps are here. My straps may not be centered on this piece, but if I center this handle in between the straps, visually our brains are going to say, oh yeah, of course that's centered. It may not be. If you got a ruler out, it may not be, but visually it looks like it, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. Donna says, what a cheerful looking suitcase. I love it. I love those bright colors. And you know what? You could go in and put on some of these travel stickers, but I don't think it needs it. I think we've got a nice little cheerful suitcase here. I'm going to put that aside so that we can assemble a rolling cart and or craft tote. I always mix up those names. And then we will go back to our watercolor pieces, which are looking nice and dry already. So that is wicked awesome. All right. Let me come back out just a little bit and rolling card. So I did go ahead. As I was waiting to go live, I was set up and I thought, you know what, let me start by pre-cutting a few pieces. I obviously didn't get them all done. But with this rolling card, you've got some basic foundational pieces, and then you've got some decorative pieces. So when I go looking for it, my suitcase is on my computer. I know I'll go looking for them, so remind me it's on the computer. So let me go back out just so we can see. So with the rolling craft tote, we've got these two pieces here, which I have cut out of this darker teal paper.
I thought you were putting the dies with a magnet sheet on your computer.
No,
That's
I would. No, I would just
okay.
My finished suitcase, not my dies.
Okay.
Not my dies. Matt thought I was putting my dies on my computer. Don't worry, all good. So these two foundational pieces have some really great detail, and I'm not sure if they're going to translate super well on the camera. Can I zoom? Will it help? There we go. So there is some etched lines that is going to help you line up your pieces. So this foundational piece, this base piece, has one here and one here for your pocket. On this front panel, we've got some etched lines in here. And when we get to the pockets, there are etched lines there as well. So use all these tools to your disposal to build your tote. So that's your base, that's your front panel. We have two pockets. And the best way to know which pockets go where, the angled pieces go at the bottom. So if you have angled pieces, and when we get to the stitched ones, they match the same. The angles go at the bottom, the straight edges go at the top. The bigger pieces on the left, so left is a shorter word, you get the bigger piece. They're opposites. Right is the longer word, smaller piece. What else have I got cut here? This piece here is our base. I've got a little strap here. That's going to go over to hold our lid closed. We do have a lid. And then I've got some handles in the wheel cut, but I don't want to pull them out of here or they're going to get lost. What I still have to cut is the front of the pocket. So a lot of my samples I have just done solid cardstock and kept it nice and tone on tone. But tonight I'm going to pull out some pattern paper to create some pretty pockets for our piece, and I'm actually going to use this striped piece. So let me I think I'm going to use this black line here just as a guide. And the fronts of the pockets have that nice stitched edge, so they're going to look fabulous. Stripes are tricky. You got to make sure you got the stripes going straight. I think I got that right. All right, so on my magnet, I like to try and keep everything organized. The things that go together get saved, get stored together. There, look at those fun pockets. And then I also need to do the handles. So both the handle pieces, you get both the short and the long on the same die, so it makes it easy to cut. Let's do a fun color. Let's do our base on this orchid. Can I fit that? I can. And I have a light pink piece here that I think we can pull together. So last two pieces to cut. La la la, whistle while you work. Because you don't want me to sing, and you never know. Facebook might copyright me if, or bust me for copyright infringement, I guess is the better way, if I start singing. So let's pop that out. So these orchid ones are the base, And you also get a solid wheel that we will need in a little bit. And then we have, gotta remember to put things away or I'm never gonna find them. Then we have our extended handle. The long one goes with the long one. The short one goes with the short one. Oh, let me bring that over here. Where can we see it? Anyways, you'll see it when we assemble. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to start with my base piece. And I am going to attach my front panel to the base piece, aligning the outside edges and using this etched line here as a guide. Get that glue flowing. Okay. The next piece I'm going to put on is the lid. And the reason why I'm doing that is because the straps have to go on after it so that it goes up and over. So, lining all the pieces. When you go to assemble this, you'll see how easy it is and everything's just lining up exactly the way it needs to. So I've got this lighter piece for the strap. I don't know if you can see it here. There is an etched horizontal line here. The horizontal part of the strap goes under the horizontal line for the pocket because you're not actually going to see it. It's really just there to help you line it up. Okay. The vertical lines will help you get it into place. It's starting to come together. Let's assemble our pockets. Oh, that side would have been pretty too with those little pink flowers. These pockets and the purse, as well as the suitcase, if you've got scraps even of a 6x6 pad, those tiny little patterns would go a long way to really making fun little fabric pieces for your suitcases, for your baggage. So with these pockets, it may seem counterintuitive, but we are looking at the Rolling Craft tote kind of on an angle on the corner. So the shadow parts actually, oh, and I didn't get that straight. Dang. It's okay. It's all good. The shadow parts actually will meet in the middle. So you've got them both on opposite sides. Shelley says that the etch lines are so helpful. It's easy and fun to create this. I am glad you think so, Shelley. All right, so the big pocket is going on the front, and I always align that right-hand edge with that seam. It will hang off the left-hand edge. That's the way it was designed. And then this one here is very easy. You've got a nice etched line that will just encompass it all. It's coming together. Look how pretty that is. All right, next up, let's go to the bottom. This base piece here, much like the handle on the suitcase, this is going behind and is going to anchor your wheels, if you are, to your rolling tote. So you're just going to put glue right along that edge, and it's going to go behind. So you can flip it over. I actually usually grab it by one of the feet, flip it over, and it all just matches perfectly. So that's what it looks like on the back. Flip it over, that's what it looks like on the front. And if you look really closely at this piece, again, I'm not sure how well it'll show in the camera, there is a little curved piece here. That is where our wheel goes. So I've got the pink base, I've got the teal, I'll call it tire, and I usually just grab the tire on that skinny piece, glue on the fat piece. And you can, when you look at these, you can tell there is a distinct right and wrong. So it's really easy to see how those go together. And just a little dab of glue in that top corner to go onto here. All right, final stretch, final stretch. We have, I have a little, there's a little rectangle buckle for the front here. Let's just finish that guy off. And for argument's sake for tonight, I am only going to assemble the extended handle. The short handle, the stationary handle goes together pretty much the same way. It's just shorter pieces. With this guy here, I take that extended piece. I just put a little bit of glue on the front of that piece, and it goes behind my purple, like so. Wiggle it till it visually makes sense. And I'm going to cap it off with a handle grip. The handle grip comes one die for 2 pieces. Let me put it on this pink piece so I can hold it up a little closer. One handle, so let it focus there. One handle is a little bit longer and looks like it's a little bit more on an angle. Longer handle, longer post. The shorter handle goes with the shorter one. Hopefully that's easy to remember. And you know what? If you get it wrong, it's not that far off that it looks weird. And you can just say, that's the way I made it. One last time, we're going to add glue to this horizontal base piece and tuck it behind our rolling tote. And I tend to come as far to the right-hand side as I can so that our tote is ready to roll. All right. We've done a lot of prep. Let's bring this card home and bring it all together. So we've got our pattern pieces here, and I wanted to use this floral piece. So my apologies, there is one more piece of prep that I'm going to do. Let me zoom out so we can see the whole thing. I am going to cut a strip of this paper that is 2 inches in height and cut it so that it's the same width. So 5.5, because we're going to add some color to our color. Are you crazy? Nope, this is the vision, so we're gonna go with the vision. So 5.5, 5.5. Don't put your paper trimmer away. I'm just gonna slide it to the side for just a second. I'm gonna take this paper and I am gonna cut an angle. So I'm gonna grab a pencil and I'm going to mark so if this is my card here, I'm going to mark 1 inch. I'm going to do 3/4 of an inch on the left side. And I'm going to do 1.5 inches over here. And I'm going to cut a diagonal and connect those pieces. One of the things that I had really wanted to do with this collection is have a parallelogram nesting die. And it didn't quite make the cut. It didn't work into the selection. But the reason why I wanted it is because, you know, when we have mental health issues, when we are dealing with our own baggage, a lot of what we want to do is just move forward. So I wanted something that was angular to really show a forward movement on our creations. So even though we don't have a die, we can do that with our paper. So I had created that angle here on our card base. I'm going to do the same thing on this one just so that we match it up. So 3/4 of an inch, 1.5 inches Let's cut it out. Makes us just get a little creative. Have a little bit of fun with our supplies. And that goes back in here. And then this is where I'm now going to bring out my card bases. So my pattern pieces are going to go on the bottom. And then this is going to layer over top. And look how it's bringing all those colors together. It's got a nice kind of mixed up look to it. So that one goes here, edge to edge.
Cut it crooked.
Matt's just catching up, and he says, you cut it crooked, and that is on purpose. That is on purpose. Get some movement. I think that's also why on a lot of my samples, I put things on jaunty angles. You know, my suitcases almost always are on an angle. My rolling tote is almost always in that, I'll call it the rolling position. So there's one. Get that pattern paper that inspired us. Oh, I run out of tape. And you know what? If you're using this on a layout, you could do the same thing. You could trim a strip, but trim it on an angle as opposed to being straight across. Create that forward movement and have some fun. All right, suitcase over here on my computer. I don't know that it matters. Let's put that one there, and let's put our rolling tote over here. Look how fun. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna grab some foam squares. One, two, three, four. In both of these cases, if you wanted a little extra reinforcement, the narrow foam strips will fit on the handle here and the handle top here. I am not going to do that. I'm going to be lazy and not do that, but know that you have that option, and it is the right width for that paper. So there we go. And I'm going to need some more foam squares. 1, 2. I recently just moved all my foam squares into the drawer beside me here, and man, it's made a difference. Don't have to reach. I don't have to search.
You need sunglasses to look at those.
They are quite bright. They are bright and cheerful and ready for spring. All right, so this guy's on a bit more of a jaunty angle because well, could we do it? You know what? We could do it this way. Yeah, why not? There we go. All we need now are sentiments. So let's do, what can I fit here? I think I'm going to have to tuck down here in the corner. I'm going to do friends help friends carry their, no, friends and laughter help lighten the load. I think that's my favorite sentiment on that whole set. All right. What? No, Misty? You doing the block thing? Yep. Going rogue. Doing the block thing. Let's tuck this right here in the bottom corner. Go big or go home. Perfect. Love it, love it, love it. And then this one, make sure it's right side up. If you're stamping with a block, always make sure you can read the sentiment before you actually go to stamp it. If you can read it, it's right way up. There we go. And you could go in and add some bling, add some enamel dots. I did also grab my Raven splatter, but then we've put everything together and I'm certainly not going to mess it up at this point. But there you go. I did two. I did the retro suitcase and the rolling craft tote, and we did watercolor, and we created a flow state, and we connected and helped each other just kind of escape for a little while. So there is Learning Live for tonight. Let's go here. I hope you had fun. I hope you got some ideas out of all of this. Hope you loved the color. And you know what? If you didn't love the color, you've got lots of options. You've got whole palettes of color. You can make well, maybe not the craft tote, though there are some male crafters out there. But with your suitcase, just by switching up the colors really changes who you can give that card to. I'm excited to also try this on a layout. Back at the store, Sue did create a layout using, here I am pointing at it and you can't see it, using the rolling craft tote and this paper. So we'll make sure that we photograph that and get that up where you can all see it. And really get the stuff out, whether it's this collection or any other crafting supplies you have, and just start making, because it helps to lighten the load, it helps to connect with others, and it helps you have fun. So have a wonderful rest of your night, everyone. Enjoy the spring weather. Even, we don't know how long it's going to be here. We may get, no, I'm not even going to say it. It's March, it's spring, and we're going to have some good times. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.